Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. But need OG, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen him down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a meal, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers, fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a Don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Told him come down and I'll meet him at a gate. Got a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex, but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all, I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, we are approaching and have approached our first major key level of resistance, but we are attempting to approach a potential breakout level, guys, that could put us into new all-time highs. Now, obviously, I'm not expecting this to come in one green candle from here directly. There is opportunity for some kind of a pullback. I actually think that might be likely. But I want to take a look at the higher time frames with you guys. Let me just lock up the phone here. I want to take a look at the higher time frames with you guys and the potential possibility of new all-time highs coming in sooner than later. I know a lot of people are nervous about the geopolitical situations and all that good stuff, but we do have some signs on the chart potentially pointing towards new all-time highs. We'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance. I want to take a look at some of the local levels as well. But as we are tapping our value area high, it is getting very interesting, guys. We're tapping up against resistance, and it is one of those times where it's like we're tapping against key resistance, which could potentially give us another massive drop to the downside. But if we could crack above it, guys, it could be the level that needs to break in order to see a new all-time high on Bitcoin. We're talking $115,000 to $120,000, potentially even higher. So I'm going to break down exactly what this is not just my opinion, guys. This is my opinion, but it's based off all of the information. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what is on the charts that makes me think that, and then I'll give you some of my other ideas as far as potential rate cuts coming as well. And then, yeah, we'll take a look at the altcoins. We are going to do a little bit of a shorter stream tonight, guys. It is going to be about an hour long tonight. I do have somewhere to be, but let's see who we got in chat. Shout out to the CandleMafia. Let's see. We got Samuel in the chat. What is going on, bro? We got Sergio. What is up, bro? Shout out to Sergio. Tony D, Is that Sergio, the one that was sending us those videos? Let me know. But shout out to Sergio. Actually, Sergio, let me know in the chat. What is going on, man? We got Jesse in the chat. Our like police, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Every 100 likes we get gets you guys closer to some free crypto giveaways if we get 1,000 likes on tonight's live stream, which I assume, I mean, unless we really start smashing that like button, I assume we're probably not going to get it because it is going to be an hour stream tonight. But smash it up. If we get 550, maybe we'll add something to the giveaways. We got Curtis in the chat. Curtis Hill, not to be confused with Curtis Neal. We got Vegas Claw saying free liquidity now. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Welcome in, bro. Always happy to have you. Gen Z, Bearded, McMike, what is going on? Said, you got your ears lowered. Shout out to Bearded McMike. Yeah, I did get the ears lowered. We just got a little haircut. I got nothing in it right now, but yeah, we got a little cut. We got the fresh little fade here. We got the skin fade, baby. Skin fade. Nothing but skin. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead. Shout out to Mark Dutch. Said short stream. Fool someone else, Frankie. Shout out to Mark Dutch. Yes, you guys know we never, ever do short streams. But I am going to try to hop out of here probably at about an hour. We're going to cover all the key. Levels on Bitcoin, and again, we'll take a look at some of the altcoins as well. Because if you guys have been tuning in for the past couple of weeks, or I would say the past couple of days, but even the past couple of weeks, my sentiment does remain the same. So I don't want to really chew everybody's ear off with the same exact analysis as we are live here every single day. But I'm going to go over some of the new stuff, some of the key levels that we're tapping right now, and what could happen if we break this next key level of resistance, which we are very, very quickly approaching. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. Shout out to International. Said, let's go, Frankie. Always nice to see you. Shout out to International. Welcome in. Welcome in. Let's see. Jesse says, or Gen Z says, Jesse, send it. Let's go. Shout out to Jesse. Probably talking about the likes. Shout out to More Time said, looking forward for my new CandleMafia. Shout out to you, man. Well, welcome in. You're now part of the family, and you're locked in. And if you're subscribed, you actually can't unsubscribe. We lock those subscriptions in. So once you're part of the family, you can't get out. That's just how the Mafia works. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look here, guys, at the overall higher time frames. Now, as you guys know, one of the big things that we've been looking at is that Heikin-Ashi monthly green dot with our 2-day money flow crossover into the green, which has actually come pretty nicely into the green here, right? We were looking at this coming out, I guess it was on last week, right? This was starting to come to the downside as we were pulling down. However, we were looking for a potential big pop to the upside on this money flow because really, if we want to see that monthly green dot print with that 2-day money flow crossover, right? Heikin-Ashi green dot on the monthly printing, 2-day money flow crossover into the green. We needed this to at least stay in the green. It's not that this couldn't have faked out into the red and come back up, but it was very, very nice to see this get a pretty strong pop back to the upside, guys, because we really need this money flow to stay in the green to keep that market cipher be bullish signal in play, right? And, as I've said the past few weeks, I've said this many a times, but, those 2-day money flow crossovers with the monthly green dots have pretty much called for the next leg up here almost every single time. Now, this is not going to hit, 10 out of 10 times, right? Obviously, at some point, we're going to get a 2-day money flow crossover, right? So one happened here, monthly green dot, next leg up, have the consolidation, the breakout, next leg to the upside, consolidation, massive fear at the low. Frankie, is this the bear market? No, I do not think this is the bear market. 2-day money flow crosses into the green, monthly green dot prints, next leg up, consolidation, big drop down. Oh my God, Frankie, is this the bear market? No, I don't think it's the bear market. I'm looking for new all-time highs. We got that to play out. And now we have that 2-day money flow crossover creeping into the green here with that monthly green dot, guys. This is the high time frame, just kind of simple thing that I'm looking at on Market Cipher B, which oftentimes does indicate another move to the upside. Now, again, with the level that we are approaching right now, guys, this is very, very similar to, as we talked about yesterday, comparing it to this previous price action back here in 2024 where we kind of bing-bonged around. We put in a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, and then eventually we did end up getting that big breakout. We have a similar situation going on here, and the key level that we are approaching is really a do-or-die level. Because if we do, as you guys know, right, we've been looking at the overall Fibonacci retracement from this lower high to the lower low, where we have tapped into that golden pocket 786. This is obviously an area where we have an opportunity to put in a lower high to potentially break that structure to the downside at $97,000. Now, I want to be clear, guys, even if we got the breakdown to 97K, this would not necessarily mean that all times potentially incoming soon is off the table, right? I've talked about this so much. 97K, even down here at about $90,000. Obviously, we hope that we don't have to see that. But my long-term sentiment here is bullish, guys. Rate cuts could be on the way. And we do also see a did I not put this on silent? I literally put this on silent. Tony D just sending messages here. with the way this looks, right? Like, even if we got a bigger cool off, like, this does not change my longer term sentiment. If we come down to 97K, I am not necessarily saying, oh my God, bear market. So just keep that in mind, right? Everybody got super scared here, right? And, we get that new all-time high to come in. So I'm just going to stick to the charts. I'm going to get nitty-gritty in on these levels because we have tapped the 786 here, which could be a potential rejection zone. We had a short setup there in the premium Discord. But I'll be honest, right? Like, I don't know how strong that pullback's going to be, but if it did turn into a bigger trade, this 786 retracement obviously does give you the opportunity to continue the lower high, lower low situation, which that next big key level would be the point of control at $97,000. But the overall bullish sentiment there would not change for me at all. I would still think that we could see potential new all-time highs. We just might have a little bit more bing-bonging around to do before we get it. And this is just my opinion. Could I be wrong, guys? Could this be the bear market? Who knows, right? It could be. It's not impossible, but in my personal opinion, I've been around these markets for quite some time. I do feel pretty bullish here long term. Now, short term, obviously, we've come into resistance. We were looking at this level last week as we pull up the regular candles here. Obviously, we do have the Golden Pocket 786. Let me pull it up over here, actually, because this is really the level I want to look at, right? Once we broke above this value area low, this was our biggest key level to get above on Monday to potentially look for the continuation to the upside to get above that POC, which was up here at the time. It has now moved down a little bit as I extended this profile all the way to the current price action. But once you get above that value area low, guys, what are we looking for on price, right? I like to give away as much free value as possible, but guys, this is the sauce here. Get above that value area low. This was the first thing we were looking at to indicate the continuation of this trend to the upside, on top of the fact that, once you get above that value area low, POC is going to be the next stop, which again was up here at the time. But after you flip that POC, right, the next likely place for price to go is it's going to get gravitated towards that value area high, where we also looked at the liquidity last night on the live stream, which was sitting above this high, saying, hey, if we push up to this level, we have two kind of opportunities, right? You could either get a swing failure pattern where you get that big wick through the liquidity and then a candle closure down below for some kind of a pullback, which again wouldn't have been very bearish for me. I would have been looking for higher lows and higher highs. But we didn't really get that SFP. We got a tiny little SFP, but really you want to see those liquidations come in and you want to sweep out a significant amount of that liquidity, which technically did fly all the way up here to the value area high. So the two scenarios there were like you get that big wick with the rejection back down, or you just get that kind of short squeeze, which would lead you right up into that value area high, which is also the 786 Fibonacci retracement, which is that area where we could put the lower high in for a lower low. Now, this is the first 786 retracement that lower high could come in at, but we have one more level above us, guys, which is confluent with our overall trend line here. And if I just clean up the chart here, I'll take off the volume profile, I'll take off that liquidity box, and I'll even hide the next level up there as well. I'll hide the Fibonacci retracement, right? At the end of the day here, guys, we have this very, very simple trend line. And, we have the confluence of this larger 786 pulled from the all-time high to the low. That 786 is coming in confluence with that trend line. And that would really be, in my opinion, the big doorway to higher prices. As I said yesterday, the same kind of situation that we were in up here when we pulled from the high to the current low that we had. That 786 was the doorway. And we're kind of at that same situation as we talked about yesterday, right? It's like, well, hey, if we can get support above there and get the breakout, that would very likely lead us into new all-time highs because you don't really have much above you, right? I mean, technically you have the all-time high up there, but at the end of the day, you break out of that trend line, you flip that 786 to support, it invalidates the idea of the lower high and then the lower low. However, we did get the lower high, and then that lower low came into our $100,000 support level, and all week we've been talking about how this does look pretty good for a low, in my opinion. Does that mean that we're guaranteed not going to break down to 97K and below? No, but at the time being, right, it's or at the current time of looking at that, we look at that volume profile and we say, well, hey, not only did we get a strong bounce here, we also got accepted into the upper value. And this is the beauty of the volume profiles, guys. We had the area of balance up here, and once you get back inside that area of balance, you're going to be looking to go to the POC and the value area high. Here is price, literally rejecting that exact value area high. So with that being said, right, this is an area where we can get the pullback. And breaking above this level would be bullish, right? But at the end of the day, the full 786 retracement from the high to the low here is also confluent, another level that we looked at yesterday. It's in confluence with this trend line pretty much, right? And it's also confluent with a daily MPOC. So let me actually just pull that up as well. We have the daily MPOC sitting at about $109,487. So, how is this going to play out exactly is very hard to say. Can we get a little rejection here? I'll talk about why we could potentially see a little pullback here. But as I was talking to the premium Discord, any short positions up here, you would have to be somewhat careful on the way down, right? But at the end of the day, we're coming up to the local 786. I'll just pull that on the chart as well from the high to the low. Bada Boom, right? Perfect confluence there. Could get a rejection here, and I'll talk about why I think it might be likely to get at least some kind of a reaction at this level. But at the end of the day, guys, we are not very far away from getting above this value area high. The last line of defense is sitting right here, 786 daily MPOC, sitting between about $109,067 and $109,512. At this point, guys, this is the last opportunity to kind of hold that lower high situation for a continuation down. Once we get above that level, right, number one would be getting above the value area high, but at that point, right, you're going to be in a similar situation as this. It's like, well, hey, are we going to deviate above the high and then get back in for the lower low? Still in the cards, but it's very nice because just like back here, it is the doorway that is holding us back to potentially seeing new all-time highs come in very soon. Now, again, nothing goes up in a straight line. Like, if we get a rejection either here or here, these are the next two major areas that I'm looking at for a potential pullback. But overall, and again, this could turn into a bigger correction to put in the lower low, but we'll have to assess the situation as the price action develops, right? We have our 4-hour money flow back in the green, but as you can see here, we do have the 4-hour red dot looking to print at key resistance. Now, do we have any bearish confirmations up here? I would say there's not a ton, right? We had a little bit of a wonky 2-hour bearish divergence with massive higher highs, with slight lower highs. That has been confirmed, but didn't really give us that much of a pullback. As a matter of fact, we actually got a little dip down and then a push back up into the value area high again. So we don't really have many signs of weakness up there as far as the divergences go. We didn't really get any low time frame bearish divergences. You can see here, like, there's really no 15-minute bear div, or this is the 12-minute. I'll pull out the 15-minute. No 15-minute bear div. Even here, you have lower highs on your momentum waves, money flow starting to come out, but there's no bearish divergence. But with the 4-hour red dot printing, remember, guys, it is a potential 4-hour 15-minute market cipher B 1/16th bearish setup, right? If that 4-hour prints the red dot and this 15-minute money flow crosses into the red, this is where I would anticipate a little bit more of a cool off, and we'll talk about some local levels of support down below. But again, we've come up to the resistance level we looked at yesterday, anticipating the value area high to potentially come in at. We had the golden pocket sitting up here with a daily level. We got a little bit of turbulence there, but at the end of the day, no real confirmations other than a slight little SFP, not really the way I like to see SFPs play out, and we just push right through that into the full value area high. And anytime you're kind of shorting inside of a profile like this, guys, like, when you have a key value area high, this is always the better area to look for the rejection at, right? So we pushed above that first level of resistance. I'll just take that off the chart. And here we are, right? So I do think there's probably a little better of a chance of a pullback here with that 4-hour red dot printing, or looking to print. Is it popping up yet? Maybe we just got a little push to the downside. Maybe we got that to print. Yeah, so that 4-hour red dot may print soon. If that 15-minute money flow crosses into the red, I would look for some kind of a continuation down here. But again, this is the first area where we can look for that lower high. But at the end of the day, this is the bigger level, guys. I will say this, whether we have to, maybe we get the bigger pullback, right? For now, I will be treating any shorts up here as a lackluster retracement for a higher low and a higher high. And again, I'll go over those key levels of support down below in just a minute. And the reason for that, guys, is because when you look at the 4-hour time frame, right, it's like, well, hey, we have that 4-hour red dot looking to print, but look at your money flow. Your money flow is coming up into the green. This makes it more likely, at least from a statistic standpoint, that the continuation would be, lackluster pullback, higher low, and continuation of the trend. The red and the green dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market, right? Not the overall trend. The money flow indicates the overall trend. So you can get a little ebb or flow to the downside on the red dot, but the overall continuation of the trend, at least as of right now, unless this tanks into the red, maybe things will change. We got new information on the charts every single minute, second, hour, day, week. But with this money flow in the green, I would have to treat any pullback here as a lackluster retracement for a continuation to the upside. And it's not just that, guys. It's not just that. We looked at the stock market yesterday, nearing that value area high, potentially looking to break into new all-time highs. I think the NASDAQ made a new all-time high today. That is obviously going to be somewhat bullish for Bitcoin. Hopefully it follows suit. So this is definitely, right, level number one we are inside of. Maybe we get the pullback. Could the lower low come in from that level? Yes. But I would say, if we get above this value area high, the next last line in the sand is going to be this area here between 109,067 and about 109,500. Once you get above there, you have a daily MPLC up there, but, I would probably be looking for all-time highs at that moment. So we'll see if we get a little bit of a pullback here, but, if you're just looking at simple technical analysis, you don't want to see all these local levels. At the end of the day, you could just look at this trend line. Not that I trade trend lines alone, but this is obviously, especially with the confluence here on the 786 and the similar situation that we saw up here, right? Like, if we're going to come in, put in another lower high and just continue that downtrend to crack this low into 97K, this is the area where it would come in at, right? And, generally you can pretty much extend that zone all the way down to here. But once you break out of it, same thing as here, right? It's like, oh my God, huge resistance, but if we break above it, maybe we close that weekly candle above, we could see new all-time highs. If not, you might be looking for the lower low. And that is the situation. Like, we are literally at the turning point right now. So, again, just because I'm expecting new all-time highs to come in somewhat soon, I'm not saying they have to come in tomorrow. I'm not saying they have to come in right this second. Obviously, the market has to ebb and flow a little bit. So yeah, we're at resistance. We'll see if that 4-hour red dot prints gives us the pullback. Again, with the lack of bearish divergences here on the lower time frames, is it possible to push above that value area high to come play around with this zone first and then get the rejection? That is also a possibility. But once we get up here, guys, as long as it's not a fake out, it's going to start looking pretty good in my opinion, right? It looks very, 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 very similar to back here. This is pretty much the area of price action that we've been comparing this to, is all the way back here in 2024, right? We came in, it was the same exact situation, right? We come up for a little bounce, we put in the lower high, the lower low, meaning breaking structure to the downside, right? So you get the low, the high, or the high, the low, the lower high, the lower low. Then on the way up, it's like, okay, hey, are we going to get another lower high? Where would that lower high come in at? Well, it's probably going to come in at the golden pocket 786. Where to come in? Right on that 786, lower high, lower low. You then have that same kind of trend line there. The question is, are we going to put in another lower low, or are we just going to start taking off? And that's kind of something we have to deal with as price approaches that major 786. So the line in the sand right now, I would say if we can break and hold above that 786 daily MPOC at about $109,500, does look pretty good for a push to the upside, unless it's something like this where we come up, right, and then you just kind of get like a wick and then a closure down below, right? We can see like wicks above these levels. Really what you want to do is start closing high time frame candles above that daily MPOC 786. So just be aware of that, right? You can fake out here. Like even here, you could have done something like that before coming back down. But we are approaching a big level here, guys. And I want you guys to be aware of where that breakout is very likely to occur. And, I think that trend line makes it like a very, very simple place to look, right? Just get above that trend line. It's like, well, hey, maybe the lower high is invalidated at that point if it doesn't come in at that 786. And then bada boom, you can look towards those all-time highs, which the next targets for me, guys, are going to be between 115 and 120K. Get above that, 130 to 137K. And again, I'm not saying this has to happen today or tomorrow or the next day or even this week, right? Maybe we get the pullback first. But yeah, just kind of walking you guys through what I'm looking at here. We also have the daily money flow. This does look a little suspicious in my opinion, right? Like obviously this can make a lower high and cross into the red, in which case maybe that lower low is likely. But again, right, even if we do put in that lower low to 97K, the longer term sentiment is still going to be bullish here, anticipating potential rate cuts to come in. And I always warn people, almost, especially recently, if we do break into new all-time highs, guys, this is where everyone is going to think that the bull market is just starting. In my opinion, we are nowhere near the beginning of the bull run. This has been a massive bull run for quite some time. We looked at the cycle chart the other day. Actually, yesterday we looked at the cycle chart to kind of understand where we are sitting. Where is my cycle chart? Where the heck is this dang thing? Here it is. We looked at the cycle chart yesterday, and actually the past few days, talking about kind of where we are in the cycle, right? We still have some time. A lot of these all-time highs have come in about 546-ish days after the halving. 546 in 2021, 525 in 2017. And then, the interesting thing here is back in 2014 or 2013, it was 364 days, right? And the funny thing is the first top in 2021 came in 336 days, which is similar to 2013. But then the final all-time high came in at 546, which is more similar to 2017. So right now, we are past the, I guess right now if we measure it here, 426 days after the halving. We still have some time here if we're going to get a similar kind of play out as 2021 with the all-time high coming in around 546 days, right? We still have some time here to come into like September, October, which would line up with those rate cuts, potentially putting us into a new all-time high. Right. We also have some of the alt charts starting to look for that 2-day money flow crossover into the green, which is very typically very bullish for altcoins. We'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance in just a minute. But just giving you guys my overall thoughts here, right? Like even if we have to endure a little bit more turbulence here, right? Like I do think we could still be on the cusp of potentially continuing into new all-time highs. Now, if something changes and we're going to break down and go into a bear market, we'll see the signs on the chart. But right now, all eyes on that 2-day money flow crossover into the green. All eyes on the resistance levels that we just went over. We are very much approaching a breakout zone. It does not mean guaranteed breakout, just like it didn't mean guaranteed breakout here. We analyzed the price. We look for that weekly candle closure. We said if we don't see the weekly candle closure above that level, we're probably going to get a lower low to come in. That greatly increases the chances of the high, the low, the lower high, the lower low. And then as we got up there, right, if we closed that weekly candle above, we probably would have broke out into new all-time highs, but we did not get that. We closed the weekly candle below, and we put in that lower low. That became the higher probability scenario, and there we are coming down to that 100K level and getting the strong bounce. So it's the same thing here. Break up, hold, boom. Get the rejection, lower high is potentially in the cards to come down to 97K. Both scenarios would not change my mind longer term. So keep that in mind, right? I am a trader, so when we approach resistance like this, the only thing I can do is look for short positions, right? Just because I'm looking for shorts up here does not mean that I think it's just going down forever, right? Just to be clear, if anybody's new here and you're not used to a trader saying like, hey, I'm bearish here, but long-term bullish, we have different sentiments based on the time frame, right? I could be bearish on the 1 minute and the 5 minute, and then bullish on the 4 hour, right? In this case, I am bullish long-term, like weekly, right? But we can still see some turbulence there, right? And we make money whether price goes up or down. We absolutely crushed this short position from the high right here, which was also a 786 retracement. We crushed that short in the premium Discord and had the long setup down here. I personally just was not on the chart to catch my entry. So unfortunately, I missed that move to the upside, but that's totally fine, right? You missed the long, you can catch the short. If you missed the short, which I caught, you could catch the long, right? You can't catch every single move in the market, and you definitely do not want to be chasing stuff. So, could it be a trap? I mean, if you consider a trap, right, I wouldn't consider the trap like, oh my God, all-time highs are coming, and then you get trapped and we go into a 4-year cycle bear market. That is not what I'm thinking, right? What I'm thinking is, maybe the trap is that you don't get the breakout right now, right? Maybe you just have to come down a little bit more. But eventually, I do think that breakout will come unless we see some kind of major things change in the market. But again, yesterday we took a look at the SPY. Approaching that value area high that was sitting just above. And we even talked about how, hey, we were almost there yesterday. Or actually, did we tap it yesterday? I think maybe we did tap it. Yeah, I guess we did tap it yesterday, right into that value area high. So, even the stock market at resistance, but also nearing all-time highs, right? And then we also looked at, I think it was NVIDIA. We looked at, and we were just talking about, whoops. Bada boom, right? NVIDIA was approaching those highs. Actually, pull it up over here because I actually have the chart marked up here. Bada boom, right? We were approaching that value area high, and what happens? We put in that new all-time high, cracking the previous highs right up here. This is pretty bullish, right? So we're seeing things start to pop to the upside, guys. I'm not going to lie. It does not look that bad in my opinion, right? So if we could keep this momentum, I do think that we could potentially see those all-time highs come sooner than later. And if sooner is within the next month or two rather than, going into a 4-year cycle bear market, then that is what it is. If sooner than later is, this week, then more power to the bulls, right? And more power to our spot bags. But overall, those are my main thoughts here on the market. Like, same thing, right? We just look for that value area high. Now we're sitting at that level. Maybe we get a little bit of a cool off. Unless we start breaking some real key levels here, I am not going to be anticipating. You might say to yourself, well, what's the key level that, if broken, would call for the lower, how do we know if this is going to be the lower high, the early lower high for the lower low, or if it's just going to be an early lower high to put in a higher low and continue up, right? Because the 4-hour money flow would call for something like this. But if we start rejecting, we come back down to this value area low, money flow on the 4-hour is crossing back into the red, right? And we start losing this zone here. I would say about 101,500 is kind of the line in the sand. Once you start breaking out of this volume profile and you can't get back inside of it, that's where it's like, hey, maybe this is not going to be a lackluster pullback. Now we have money flow crossing into the red, assuming that's the case. That's where you could say, well, hey, if we lose this value area low, we're probably going to 97K. But until then, right, if we get a pullback from here, I would have to be looking for higher lows and higher highs. I would put a key level of support here at the point of control at about $104,000. This is also the anchored VWAP pulled from the low of that dump here that we saw on Sunday. So POC, anchored VWAP, and then below that, I would say, in general, you do have the level that we looked at yesterday, which is pretty much the Fibonacci retracement. You have your golden pocket sitting here. I would actually pull it from the higher low. Golden pocket 786 zone. If you lose that point of control anchored VWAP, all eyes on this level. Once you start losing this volume profile, that would make it more likely that this is not going to be a higher low, right? And we're probably going to come down and take this low into 97K. But until then, we can look for higher lows and higher highs. I would say 104,000 PLC with the anchored VWAP confluence is key level number 1. And then key level number 2 is really between about I would say 102,887 down to the 786 here at about 101,500, right? At that point, we really want to start getting back into this value area. But until then, right, we can just trade this as a typical volume profile, right? If you're looking for shorts at the highs, longs at the lows, whether the short comes in at the value area high or maybe even up at that second 786 on the deviation. It's not just the rejections of the value area high that we look for shorts at, but it's also the deviations above. That's how we caught this short position on that move to the downside in the premium, right? We had deviated above the high into a key 786 that we had up here, and then we look for the break back in POC value area low, right? So same thing here. We get the pullback. I would simply be targeting the point of control and value area low as the take profits, right? And then we'll see what happens as price action develops near this low if we get down there, right? So I'm going to come into chat real quick. Those are my overall thoughts. Money flow on the 4 hour still in the green. I'm watching that 4 hour red dot for potential correction from resistance. And then we'll kind of see how things develop here. Let's see. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. Said, okay, I got to drive now. No more chatty. We'll be watching. Shout out to New Earth. No problemo. You were here with us in spirit, even if you're not here in chat. Shout out to New Earth. Let's see. Biggest liquidation cluster around 104.8. That would make sense. Right, 104.8, come down here, sweep out that liquidity, maybe into the point of control. If this pullback does continue, take out that liquidity into the point of control, maybe even into the value area low. And then hopefully we can hold that for another move up. Again, once we lose this zone, I'm looking for the higher probability of 97K coming in, which again, doesn't change my bullish outlook, right? I know it's kind of hard to think, like, if we get that breakdown to 97K, guys, like, it's very, very likely that people are going to be very scared, right? But at the end of the day, people are scared on all these dumps, especially when retail comes back in, when something exciting happens, whether it's to the downside or the upside. Everyone was super scared down here. Were we? Absolutely not. Or was I personally? No. I came up here every day saying, I don't think it's the bear market, guys. All-time highs incoming. And although it wasn't that crazy of an all-time high, we did come into 112K for a new all-time high. So, again, it's just what we were looking at on the charts. It's not my best guess. I guess it is my best guess, but it's not just based off what I think is going to happen. It's not just like, oh, this feels bearish enough, I'm going to buy, right? Or this feels bearish enough, we have to pump, right? There were very specific signals we looked for down here, very specific key levels of support that we looked at. So it's all, usually the writing is on the wall, or the charts, as I like to say. So yeah, we'll see, guys. We are, just a simple standpoint. Watch this trend line. Break above and hold it. Could get the breakout. Get the rejection. We'll look for the higher lows and higher highs. Lose this. Lower low is likely to come at 97K, where I will be looking for bounces as well. And again, that's not going to be like a horrifying correction, right? I mean, healthy horrifying correction, yes. But is that going to signify a bear market for me? Not personally. Let's see. Shout out to Ted, says, what do you call that pattern? Shout out to Ted. Depends on what pattern you're talking about. Let me know. I'll try to answer that question for you. Can we look at the 2-day, 3-day, and 4-day? Yes, absolutely. 2-day money flow. We took a look at this just a couple of minutes ago. Money flow coming back into the green. 2-day green dot also printing. Not that the green dot makes me think that it's a massive move up, but it's really that money flow, right? Even that 2-day money flow staying in the green could mean higher lows and higher highs. 3-day money flow crossed over into the red, but as you can see, we are now printing a 3-day green dot with the money flow trying to come back into the green here. Could this be a lower high for another drop back into the red? Yes. But as of right now, it's crossing into the green. We have the fresh green dot. And to be honest, right, like, not that this has to be the case, but if we could get a break of the highs, right, let's pull up some of those next targets to the upside, what I'll be looking for on that tread to the upside. Just hide all this stuff, hide the daily MPOCs, right? When I see momentum waves looking like this, if that money flow stays in the green and we do end up breaking the high, right, could get that bearish divergence on the 3-day, right? This could set up for a nice 3-day bear div, right? Whether that comes in at 120K, 115K, 130K, that'll be another story. But the next targets to the upside that I will be looking at here, guys, is going to be, again, between $115,000 and $120,000, right? $115,329 to $120,629, right? These don't have to be respected to the dollar, but this is very likely going to be that next big area that we come up and approach, right? We break the highs, we're already almost at $115K. Maybe we come in and play in this zone, right? And then once we break $120,000, right, I'm looking up towards about $130 to $134.5. And then if we look at the larger, higher time frame kind of targets that we've been looking at, let me pull this up on the cycle chart real quick. If we pull this up, right, these are like longer term, higher time frame targets. You can even see here on this Fibonacci retracement, 136 to 155. But let me pull up the moon mission here. Target number 1, which is what we've been playing around with forever, is what it feels like. But again, if we get that breakout, 120K even is sitting kind of, right at that first fib level, and then above that, 137K. So larger zone, 120 to 137K. If you want to go for some of those more local targets, get the nitty-gritty intermediary levels, 115,392 up to about 126,29. Those are the levels I'm looking at. I'm going to be watching for that 3-day bear div if we get that push into the new high, into those key levels of resistance, right? You look for the break of structure, right? Then you'll have a higher high, potential lower high in your momentum waves. Hey, maybe that's where we get a little bit of a pullback. So yeah, that is going to be what I'm looking at. And locally, we went over the local levels of support. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, guys. I don't know how I feel about sharing all these volume profiles because it's like they're gonna start taking my job. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, hey guys, on Monday it's like break above here, could be going to the POC and value area high, and here we are a few days later sitting at that value area high. And even yesterday, just saying, hey, we're tapping resistance, but if we get above that, liquidity could grind us into that value area high, and here we are. Multiple reasons to be looking up at that level. So yeah, we'll see. I don't love the bearish confirmations up here for a big pullback, but we'll see. We'll kind of see what happens. And then if we push up, you have that next 786 around that $109,000 zone. Let's see. Shout out to Peter, says if that happens, is it the top of the bull run? Shout out to Peter. I mean, if you're asking me, right, I don't personally, if we break into new all-time highs, this is where you're going to start seeing people call for 200K, 250K, 500K, $1 million. Golden bull run. It's never going back down. That has never been how I approach the charts, and I've always been thankful that I look at the charts in a much more conservative way, right? When you see the retail come back in, this is where people are thinking the bull run is starting. They all come in, but, just from like a very simple standpoint, right? Like all the new people come in, they buy the top, they become the exit liquidity, right? So just from that basic standpoint, it's like if we get up to 120 to 137K, is that the top of the bull run? You can't say it's guaranteed. There's nothing, we'd have to wait till we get up there, right? If we get up there, right, and there's no bearish signs at 137K, like maybe we do break into the next target, right? We do have higher targets technically, right? Between 155 and about 175K would be the next fib zone above 137. And then above that, you have that $209,000 fib level as well, right? I just don't know, right? Every bull run, there's going to be a bunch of targets to the upside, and very rarely do we go into that final target every single time. Right? Last cycle, everyone was looking for 100K. We didn't get anywhere close, right? We topped out at 69K. I guess you can consider that somewhat close, right? But everyone that just like cries for the crazy number everyone's looking for, it's like very rare that those come in. So I am going to be very suspicious. I will be taking profit if we get that move into 137K. I will be taking profit on my Bitcoin. Right? Not going to sell it all, right? I mean, unless I saw some kind of super bearish signal. We don't know. Maybe we get a little pullback, and the markets can get very confusing, guys. You can see some kind of like crazy sweep down and then another push to the upside, right? Remember, nobody was expecting this 55% correction in the last run. 55% down, only to come up and put another all-time high in. So, at the end of the day, anything's possible. The all-time high could be in technically right now. That's not the camp that I personally fall in, right? We're right way more than we're wrong, but I would be lying if I said I was never wrong, right? We're obviously wrong sometimes, and one guarantee I can give you is we will be wrong again at some point, right? Can't get 100% of the calls right, but pretty lately, and for the majority of the time, we do get it pretty dang close. Let's see, no new people. Yeah, like I don't really think retail is here, guys. We know very, very quickly when retail comes in, right? Like when I go live and we see the giant jack up in the numbers, we could say, well, hey, maybe retail's starting to come back, right? But then every time we get a big move up, retail comes back, they get flushed out. Oh my God, it's the bear market. Then they don't come back in until we make a new all-time high, and then they're like, oh my God, I'm over this. I got washed out again. They leave. It's not really. I think that last push up is really when we'll see not only retail come back in, but that's where we'll see the altcoins start to move, right? And we'll take a look at the altcoins here in just a second. A lot of those altcoins potentially not looking too bad, right? We have the 2-day money flow crossover looking to pop up on a lot of the altcoins as well. But just to kind of show you guys what I would say, hey, work your way up here. Definitely not the start of the bull run, I'll tell you that much, right? A lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, it's just starting, right? 500K. Not me. That's not the camp I'll fall in. It's never been the camp that I go with, right? I'm just looking for that massive move. More often than not, you will get stepped on, right? Everyone starts to get excited, and then and then honestly, it's like once everybody starts calling this thing's never going back down, like just think of it, right? Buy low, sell high, buy fear, sell greed. Down here, right? A big reason that kind of confirmed that the technical signals we were looking at indicating that this was not the bear market for a new all-time high to come, which we got. One of the big things there was the fear we had down here. This was like everybody was like, oh my God, is this the bear market? This is so scary. This is terrible. My altcoins are crushed. Remember, the altcoins usually run at the end of the cycle. It's that last hurrah that you see, the fireworks on the alt season comes in, you see the fireworks, and that's usually towards the end of the cycle, right? And everyone was very scared down here. Everyone's very scared down here, right? When you get up near the top, usually nobody's scared, right? Everyone's just thinking it's going to go up forever, right? And again, I'm not saying you can't go up to 200K. I'm just saying at this point, we'll have to assess the situation between, 120 and 137K. But, once you start seeing people say, oh, it's never going back down, it's never going back down, that is where the top is usually in, right? Not that way, this way, right? Back here, I remember it vividly. Everybody, once we came to this low, everyone was buying this dip. Oh my God, 30K is the bottom, right? Higher low, we're going in for a higher high, right? But I don't know. There was so many bearish signs on the chart, not only from a technical perspective, but also the timing of the cycle, right? We had enough time for the full bull market to play out. The massive bearish divergences, weekly money flow coming into the red, which has indicated the bear market every single cycle. And we were, I always say this. This is the first time I ever made like a pretty significant call on my channel on this retracement to the upside. Weekly money flows coming to the red, guys. This is bear market territory. And they hated me. Everybody hated me. They're like, this guy's a moron. Everyone else is saying buy the dip. And what happens? We go into the bear market, right? Again, I hope, if I'm thinking it's the bear market, I hope it's wrong, right? I hope we just keep going up. But just keep that in mind. No one is really scared, right? Everyone's like, oh, my God, that's it. We're going in for a new all-time high. It's a higher low. We're going up. But they may not be looking at everything they should be, right? So it's going to be the same thing on the way up here, right? No one's going to be scared when the top is coming in. Everyone's scared when you should be buying the dip. When people are down to just, like, hold forever, right? That's usually when the top is going to come in. But we'll see what happens, right? Let's see here. If we get 3 green days in a row, take profits because it's about to go down. Shout out to Kenny. Yeah, I mean, usually, you'll get a little bit more than 3 green days. I wouldn't say that, like, I mean, I don't know if you mean like 3 green daily candles. I mean, we get 3 green daily candles all the time, right? I mean, we get more than that. I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean by that. But yeah, I mean, listen, like, you want to take profit when price is going up, right? Not necessarily when it's going down. Let's see. I just want to take profits on my altcoins and become a Bitcoin maxi. Shout out to Jets. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys, is there a possibility that there's no alt season this cycle? Maybe. I mean, I can't say nothing's impossible. But if we take a look at dominance, guys, actually, let me pull it up over here. Bada boom, right? I mean, we're creeping up towards that macro 786 at 66.21%, right? Last week, we looked for the weekly candle closure below this level to indicate a potential bigger breakdown towards this value area low, which would have been very good for altcoins. But what happened? We did not close that weekly candle below. We wound up closing it massively above, right? So I would say the next big target on Bitcoin dominance, 66.21%, still in the cards here. Right. Once we wind up finally getting the big drop down, right? A lot of people, someone asked me yesterday, was this drop alt season? No, this is, in my opinion, like, was this an alt season, right? Did a lot of alts run here? Absolutely. But in my opinion, right, the trend was to the upside, right? This was a golden pocket opportunity to put in and start a downtrend, right, for an alt season to start. But it was the golden pocket. We know the lower highs or the big rejection levels are the golden pocket or the 786. So we got a little rejection here. It was an opportunity to see a full alt season, but this was not full alt season. This is what we want to see for full alt season, right? So, like, you want to see a big drop in alt dominance, right? Or, I'm sorry, Bitcoin dominance, opposite of alt dominance. You want to see alt dominance go up. But this is what you want for alt season, right? Not this, not this, not this, right? You want a big, massive drop, and it's going to be very obvious, right? You're going to wake up every day, and every altcoin you own is going to be up massively, right? This is typically what alt season feels like. It almost feels like too good to be true. And I know if you're new to crypto, if this is your first cycle, you're probably thinking, these crypto guys are morons. They're delusional, and you probably don't even believe in alt season because this has been a brutal grind to the upside for dominance. But eventually, when this comes down, you will know, right? We need something like this. Not something like this. So, the chances of this being your alt season, and now we're in a 4-year cycle bear market, is just not in the cards for me. And again, right, like, if this was the bear market, right, everyone was saying bear market down here, why we keep making all-time highs, right? Why is the stock market making all-time highs? So just remember, when the herd is thinking down, more often than not, you go up. And when they're thinking up, more often it goes down. It's very more easily said than done, right? Because when everyone's saying up, you feel a little good. You're like, everyone thinks it's going up. I'm just going to hold on, right? But you kind of have to be that the black sheep, right? You kind of have to be the person going against the herd. But we'll see, right? If we get up to 137K, it looks like 200 is likely, then there will be signs on the chart very likely. But, at every major level of resistance, I'm going to be very, very suspicious. So for right now, I'm looking between 120 and 137K max. And I know that's not what people want to hear. Smash that like button if you want to be more realistic than just round trip your bags. But, that's where I'm looking max, right? It's been where we've been looking forever, right? Ever since we put in the bottom of the bear market. we had all these targets on the chart, right? Could we go up to 200K? Sure, right? But, timing-wise, it would make a lot of sense if we did come into this zone and we're at that 550-ish a day level, right? Timing-wise, bearish signs start to print. I don't know. Everyone's saying, oh, my God, it's never going back down. It's never going back down. Oftentimes, that is the top. But we'll see. I'll be here to walk you guys through every step of the way. So I do want to take a look at some of the altcoins as well. We took a look at dominance. Let me come into chat real quick. Shout out to Abdallah says, can you increase the sound? Am I quiet for anybody else? Let me know. I just want to make sure. Usually when people say we're too quiet, most people say I'm too loud. Like, why is this guy screaming? We're hype, baby. We're hype. We got the Aztecian Cactus Orca water here. But yeah, let me know. Hit me with a green check mark in the chat if the sound is good. If not, I will jack it up a little bit. But yeah, that is actually a rare comment that we get. Usually people are like, dude, stop yelling. You're too loud. Let's see. No alt season like before. Shout out to Eric. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't want to say this, and this is very speculative. Like, I don't know if the alt season is going to be the same thing as we've seen in like 2017. I think the market is going to change over time, right? The market's obviously mature over time. Big money enters the market. It becomes a little less volatile. I think you're always going to have the low cap altcoins that fly and stuff like that. But I do think alt season will change over time, and I think the alts will go. I think that's what you said. I think they will go at some point. All good. Okay, cool. All right, sound is good. Sound is good. Okay, cool. Shout out to Kate. Katya says you're just as loud as always. Shout out to Katya. Okay. All right, let's see here. All right, let's jump into some altcoins real quick. And yeah, let me go ahead and set some alerts here on Bitcoin in case we start moving here. So does that make sense for everybody? Right? Pullback from the value area high would be, somewhat expected here, especially if that 4-hour red dot prints. Where is it? Come on, red dot, print for us. Actually, you know what I'll do here? I'll put an alert here on Market Cipher B, so when we get that red dot, we will get the alert. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay, so we'll see when we get that red dot. But again, 2-hour bear div, tapped into resistance. Not impossible to pull back here. 4-hour red dot with the 15-minute money flow crossing into the red would probably be the sign that you are going to get that continued pullback, right? Not necessarily 97K just yet, but that would be where I would look for that rejection at this level of resistance that we looked at yesterday. And then I guess I'll just put a random alert right up here in case we get a pop to the upside. And let's go ahead and jump on into some altcoins. Let's take a look at Ethereum here, getting the bounce off the golden pocket, the key level of support we looked at last week. Obviously saying if Bitcoin makes a new low, which it did, we would likely see Ethereum push into that golden pocket value area low. And yeah, I mean, we got the nice bounce from the value area low golden pocket back above the POC, and we are just testing this key level of resistance we looked at yesterday. Flip above this, we can look to go to the POC at 25.35, flip that POC, push into the golden pocket, value area high, 786 zone. This would be the next area. And just within the volume profile, flip below, eventually you're expecting to come to the POC and then the value area high. Right, so very, very clear levels here. Value area low, anchored VWAP zone still sits between about 24.49 and 24.74. Get above that. POC sits at 25.30, and then above that, the value area high sits at 26.69. Golden pocket's an honorable mention, and the 786 is also an honorable mention. This is kind of a big zone of resistance, but volume profile-wise, you would anticipate reclaim this, push into the value area high. Deviate above, opportunity for a potential rejection from the 786, but once you get above that, might be able to start your journey up towards that larger target between $3,000 and $3,100 where we have the golden pocket daily MPOC. Daily horizontal at 28.16 is an honorable mention, but I do think if the lower high is going to come in and you're going to do something like that and break the low here, I think that rejection is likely to come in at this golden pocket 786 zone. Once you get above that, I think this daily could just be some kind of like intermediary resistance before breaking out, right? If you did something like this where you got a big wick into the daily and then a closure down below, say on the daily below this 786, then you could still be putting in that lower high for the lower low. But really what you want to do, just like on Bitcoin, you want to get above that 786 and hold it on a higher time frame to indicate that trend will continue up. Taking a look at the two-day money flow, dying for the green dot, dying to cross back over into the green here. Can't really take anything away from this today. We're not getting the crossover or the green dot just yet, but if this follows suit alongside Bitcoin, right, that green dot and that money flow crossover would be somewhat of a bullish sign. And then once we get that daily two-day money flow in the green in a big way, you go look for the continuation to the upside, right? When you're looking, oh, baby, 4-hour red dot now printing. There it is in all of its glory. So we'll see if we get that continued pullback. So on Ethereum, right, we're just looking for that 2-day money flow crossover, looking for the 2-day green dot. And again, doesn't mean you can't come back down anymore, right? If we just look at this as an overall trend here, right, money flow, direction is important on money flow. It's okay to fake out into the red as long as it's just a fake out into a bigger green wave. We've spent a ton of time here in the red for Ethereum. So if you're going to put in a high, a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high, you could still come down here and break this low and still keep that longer-term uptrend continuing. But right now, these local levels are what I'd be watching. We'll see if we get that rejection from the value area low, but once you flip it, the bigger zone to look at is going to be up here. Key level of support down below. Value area low technically untapped here on that last retracement. So value area low, $2,100. 786 daily MPOC sitting between about 1986 and 1937. That's the next big level if we lose this value area low. And then we'll just have to reassess the situation if we get down there, right? We don't know what the chart's going to look like if we do get that bigger pullback, but we'll see, right? Again, like this would still be something like, if Bitcoin goes down to 97K, maybe Ethereum's approaching this level. Still doesn't mean necessarily bear market guaranteed, so just keep that in mind, right? Longer-term sentiment would remain the same there. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Thank you for the alt list, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Show the mod some love in the chat, guys, if you have not already. And don't forget to smash that like button. There we go. Let's see. High speed TA. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Let's go. It's the only way to do it. It's the only way to do it. Shout out to Candle Chaser. Says, check if your computer is running an app called Dolby Access. Turning it off solved the low volume problem for me. Shout out to Candle Chaser. Interesting. So, yeah, hopefully the volume is good. Thank you for the backup list, Jesse. I appreciate you, bro. Can we take a look at Circle? Yeah, we could take a look at Circle. Also, let's also take a look at Coinbase, right? Because what we were looking at a couple days ago, someone asked me to look at Coin, and it's like, this thing's starting to break out too, right? Like, this is, I don't know. It's like, is it an early sign? Who knows, right? But I would say, there's a lot of things, not only on Bitcoin, right, but like across all markets, the stock market, even gold, right? If we take a look at gold, I'm a little bit less attached to the gold situation just because gold is like inversely correlated to Bitcoin sometimes. But I would argue, right, like seeing a safe haven asset like gold start to cool off like this, right? Like, are we going to come up for another high? Maybe. But once you start seeing gold lose its momentum here, it makes you question, right? Like, if the safe haven assets start to cool off, this already just went on a massive rally. Maybe we start to see Bitcoin rise right after that. Could be a situation. We back-tested these side by side a couple times. I'm not going to do it today. But something to realize here is we are at a key Fibonacci level, which we had been looking at, right? And this is kind of where we're stalling out, right? Taking a look at the weekly time frame on gold. Money flow still kind of flat here, still thick in the green. Monthly red dot printing on gold as well. So, there's something to say there. If gold's going to take a dump to the downside, maybe that money flows into the riskier assets in anticipation of rate cuts to come. Just something else to take a look at it. There's a lot of things across a lot of markets. And again, doesn't mean that Bitcoin has to go up in a straight line right now. We could still have some working out to do, but this just kind of generally makes me feel good. You take a look at Coinbase, and it's like, well, hey, Coinbase is starting to get the breakout. We could take a look at Circle. We took a look at this. We took a look at this yesterday. What is it? I think it's like CRCL. Right. Oh, man. Yo, shout out to Crypto Pollo. We looked at this yesterday. Crypto Pollo asked me to take a look at Circle yesterday, and I said, oh, man, I love that this played out. Not that I ever want anyone to lose money on something going down. But, we looked at this as the biggest key level of support for a reason. It's because we had a massive low volume gap underneath us, and we knew, right? We literally looked at this yesterday, and I just love that it played out like that because it just shows you how reliable the volume is. Come on, profile. There we go, right? So we did have a pretty nice low volume gap here, right? I'm going to have to now we have volume in here, but if I go back in bar replay mode, hopefully this loads up, right? Now that we've traded in there. Come on, VPVR. There we go, right? So we had this low volume gap in here. I'll even pull it up on like a lower time frame here, right? So you have this low volume gap below this low, right? Once you break this, you have this massive volume gap. And once you lose this level, right, fast move up, could lead to a fast move down. So we looked at this as the key level of resistance or support, right? Break back in here. You could see a fast drop through that gap. And obviously, if we just play that through, very clear drop through that entire gap. So, just to kind of show that as a little bit of like an educational kind of sauce to go for you guys, those low volume gaps are no joke, right? You break below that, you're saying, well, hey, probably going to get a massive dump down to the low. And we pretty much came right back down there, almost to fill the gap in full. We got a little bit of support down here on this structure. But there you go. Fast move up, fast move down. One day later. Right? Not to brag, oh my God, we were right, but just to show you guys, if you're looking at these low volume gaps, you can do this too, right? So if you're looking for a short or something, you got a nice entry, you could say, well, hey, once I break down here, probably going to get that fast move down, right? So yeah, I would say it's nice that is now filled, right? I would say it's not totally filled just yet, but yeah, I mean, dang, maybe we should look at Circle more often. But below this, I would say, I mean, your next real key shelf of volume here is going to be around $184, right? Could you get the bounce here? Potentially. If I pull a fib, I'll pull it from this higher low to the high. Yeah, I mean, you're potentially looking to lose that 786. Pull it from the absolute low. I mean, it's your golden pocket. And then, yeah, so I would watch this zone next, right? If you do get a bigger breakdown there, right, from that high all the way down to the 786, sitting right here between, let me go ahead and grab that number real quick. 183.60 all the way down to the 786 at about 176.93. Right, so can you bounce off the golden pocket? Sure. You know, you're starting to kind of play around with the bottom of it right now. You reclaim, maybe get another fast shot up through that low volume. But if that downtrend continues, once you lose that golden pocket, I would probably be looking right down here. Hopefully, it doesn't play out exactly like it did this, although it's nice to see the TA play out. You know, I don't really, you know, I'm not wishing this thing goes down, but I would say you lose that golden pocket, just like losing this level here would lead to a fast move down to this zone. Losing the golden pocket would probably lead to a very fast move down to this zone. So those are the next key levels I would look at on Circle. If you do get the bounce to the upside, I would just be very careful. You could get a fast rip to the upside through that gap once again, but I would be very careful around the top of that gap and this value area low, golden pocket 786, right? So key resistance here would be 225.46 to 218.26, and then key support if you lose the golden pocket. I mean, you're at key support right now, but if you lose this, I'd be looking down towards 183.89 and 176.65. So there you go. Pretty crazy to see how beautifully that low volume gap played out. Shout out to Crypto Pollo if you're in here. All right, let's see. Shout out to Mark Dutch says, we don't want to share baseball, boy. He's ours, and he knows Tony D, and he makes the best pizzas. His oven is not big enough. Shout out to Mark Dutch. I don't even know if that's in reference to. I don't know who Baseball Boy is, but shout out to Baseball Boy. Let's see. Bitcoin to 96K. What do you guys think? Shout out to Kenny. If you scrub back to the beginning of the stream, I go over my thought processes on what I would look for to see 97K come in. And we are pretty much getting right up to the level that could knock us down there. But again, if we flip that level, it could lead to a much bigger breakout into all-time highs. Let's see. Shout out to Perez says, you said Market Cipher B is a paid indicator. You don't, yet I don't see it in TradingView or any option to purchase. Shout out to Perez. If you do want to purchase Market Cipher, you can use the link in the description down below, and you will save, or you can use our discount code and save 20% if you're looking how to get there. If you don't want to use our code, obviously it helps us out if you want to help support the channel and save some money yourself. But if not, you can go to, I think it's marketciphertrading.com, or that's interesting. You don't see it. What am I doing here? You should see it in TradingView, to be honest, even if you don't have, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I have access, right? So it's obviously going to, right, it obviously pops up for me. But if you use the link in the description down below, it'll take you to their website, or just Google Market Cipher. I'm sure you'll be able to find the website. But if you want to save money, you could use our link and help out the channel, obviously. But, you know, if they have a better deal going on their site, please use that. But let's see. I sold my Circle way too early, but that's due to ignorance. Oops. Shout out to Amina. No problemo, right? You just make a mistake. analyze what you did wrong, and then try to fix that moving forward. So there we go, right? We took a look at Ethereum. I do want to take a quick look at XRP, and then we'll jump into the alt list. We got HBAR, we got Cardano, and ICP. We haven't taken a look at ICP in quite some time, so let me go ahead and pull up XRP real quick. Obviously, XRP came into our next key level of support, similar to Ethereum. If Bitcoin broke its low, we were looking for XRP to come into this golden pocket. We're getting a nice little bounce. At this point, guys, we're inside the volume profile. As long as you remain inside this range, right, we can cool off. As long as we stay above that value area low, we can look for a move into the POC, maybe push up into the 260 area at that value area high. That would be the full rotation of the profile, just like we had on the way up and on the way down. That is the highest probability as far as the market cipher. As far as the volume profile goes, that's what I would be looking at. And then again, you know, when the alts start getting going here, right, take a look at the two-day money flow and two-day green dot, right? Two-day green dot printing, money flow attempting to come up here. I do think the two-day money flow crossover into the green on a lot of the altcoins. If you're using Market Cipher B, this is one of the easiest things you can look at for a big run on the altcoins. I backtest this yesterday on stream to show you guys kind of what it looks like. But right now, I would say, you know, remain inside this range. POC, doorway to the POC is open. Flip the POC, doorway to the value area high is open. And then, you know, whether we get the breakout right from there to start sending it off into new all-time highs, or we get another correction, which would not be uncommon, right? Like maybe you deviate above the high. At that point, if you have your two-day money flow crossing into the green, right, the overall trend continuation would be to the upside, right? So maybe we come down, retest that point of control before getting the bigger move up, or maybe you go for one last rotation of the profile for another move up. But that's kind of what I would look at for XRP, right? Looking at the daily, right? Daily VWAP starting to roll over, so you know, turbulence is to be likely, but I would just be using this value area low at 206 as your key level of support. If you are unable to hold this level, right, you start losing the golden pocket, probably looking down towards 183. About $1.83, right? That's your 786 retracement. Lose that, much more bearish in my opinion. Probably going to come take this low down here at about $1.62. But until we break out of that volume profile, right? Like we're within the volume profile. Even here, right? You come down, you come to the POC, you get a little bounce, but did we get a massive breakout? No. The higher probability was to get a full rotation of that volume profile, right? Same thing here. You flip above the low, you get a move up towards the POC, and then you get a big correction, right? But you held the value area low, so the doorway to the POC and the high were open for that full rotation of the range. Volume profiles are absolutely goated. If you do not know how to use the volume profiles, check the beginner series. I teach you everything about volume profiles, how to pull them, how to use them to trade, not only to indicate the long-term direction, but also how to find like sniper entries within the range. If you're looking to catch longs from the low, shorts at the highs, like we do most of the time on Bitcoin, I teach you all that as well for free. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Jack. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you so much. He says, thanks for the sauce. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for $20 super chat. Let's go, bro. I appreciate you so much. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Base Bailey dropping the sauce cans in the chat. Let's go. Shout out to Chris Amella. I can't read that out loud, brother. I can't read, or I don't know. Sister, I don't know. But every stream, out of pocket chat from Chris Amella, but we wouldn't have it any other way. Let's continue on here. Jack says, wait, will he auction his socks? I got some nice guys. I low key could make a killing on Feet Finder. If I ever have to get a new job, I blow up my accounts, I'm going straight to Feet Finder, or maybe Calf Finder as well. Find me someone else who spanks their calf meat live on camera. All right, let's see. What do you think Fartcoin does tonight? Back to take the upside liquidation. Shout out to Musica. Shout out to you. I'll try to take a look at Fartcoin for you if we have time. Shout out to Eric, says reading charts in crypto is hard, a lot of volatility. It's kind of what we like. That's kind of what I like about crypto is the volatility, right? We need volatility, whether it's to the upside or the downside. All we need is the volatility, right? When you can long and short, it's like, well, hey, I don't care if it dumps. If we get that volatility to the downside, we can make money. Get volatility to the upside, make money as well. But yeah, I'll be honest. At this point, so many people tell me, right, like especially at the Bitcoin conferences, I met up with a couple of big stock YouTubers. Or I didn't meet up with them. I just ran into them, and they were like, "Oh, we watch your channel or whatever." And it was super cool people. We should probably try to get some collabs going with them. But they were saying like, dude, if you crush the crypto TA. Bro, you should just go to stocks, bro. It'd be like a walk in the park for you. And I don't know. Maybe it's just the degen in my heart that just keeps me on crypto. But yeah, it's definitely a very volatile asset for sure. But it does make it good, right? Gives you a lot of opportunity. Yo, shout out to Tremor said he knows the name of the site. Guilty. Shout out to Dremmer. Guys, just search up Candleman on Foot Finder, and you'll see these hot little piggies. Anyway, got more subs on that than I do on YouTube. I'm just kidding. Anyway, let's continue on here. Let's take a look at H-bar. Let's see here. Where's my H-bar chart? What is this? This is the Bybit chart. Is it the MEXC chart that we looked at? Yeah, okay. So on H-bar here, attempting to reclaim weekly MPOC 786. This is the 786 pulled from the low to the high. So, I mean, this would definitely be a key level, right? Broke down below it, held the daily MPOC, reclaim on that 786 weekly and point of control, which is now tapped. So we'll label that tapped. I mean, next key level above is 100% going to be the value area low at 16 cents. Flip that to support. Could be. I'll actually see what this new fib is. Okay. Beautiful. So these are definitely not only your next targets to the upside if you continue moving, but also key levels of resistance, right? If you're going to continue a major downtrend here, right? If you're going to continue this drop, this would be the first major Fibonacci retracement I would look at. Golden pocket, value area low, confluence. Let's say you get the bounce here. Big level to look at for some resistance, right? Value area low is always going to be the doorway to higher prices, but also resistance until proven otherwise, right? You could even see here. You got to move up, big drop down, then you get back in, you lose it a little bit, then you reclaim POC, value area high. Bounce off the POC, breakout, back in, can't get out, POC, value area low. Back to the POC, back to the low. Hasn't been respected very nicely, this volume profile, although able to identify this full rotation and this full rotation. This one was kind of a fake out. So right now, I would say if you continue up 16 cents, I would say between 16 and, I would say the 16-cent zone, golden pocket value area low is your first level. If you get above that, perfect confluence. Once you get above the golden pocket, you anticipate POC. Once you get above the value area low, once you get above the golden pocket, you anticipate the 786. Once you get above the value area low, you anticipate the POC, right? Both of those levels are confluent. So flip the golden pocket, look to come up here. These anchored VWAPs are probably going to come give you some resistance as well. Once you flip above those, I'd be looking up towards about 20 cents. So be careful of the rejection here. If you reject from this golden pocket 786, could mean a lower low is coming, right? But if you get above it, it would call for a move to the value area high. Taking a look at market cipher B. 2-day money flow still kind of wiggling around here. We got to be patient for this stuff. 2-day green dot printing, but that money flow is starting to curve up. So we just need this crossover. And I know this is repetitive, but I think it's important. 2-day money flow crossover, massive move up. 2-day money flow crossover, massive move up. Right? So that's if we are going to get a much bigger move to the upside here, I think that 2-day money flow crossover is a big macro signal to look for. So there you go. Let me get rid of that brush so it's not just sitting there awkwardly. So those are the levels I would be looking at. Key level to reclaim is definitely going to be that 14 to 15 cent zone here at the 786 MPOC. Right? Lose this. Yikes. Right? You lose that, you might be headed down to a new lower low as well. But yeah. Let's see. Shout out to Greeny. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you so much. Said, Frankie, can we do, Frankie the man, can we do TA on Suey? Love you, bro. LFG. Shout out to Greeny. I will go ahead and write down Suey here. We do have a little bit of a shorter stream tonight, or at least it's supposed to be. I will write that down. I will try my best to get to that for you, brother. But we're going to go through ADA and ICP, and then I'll try to jump into Suey, and then we'll see. Shout out to Wick 589 in the chat. OG of the Candle Mafia says, minimum super chat, $50 for alt request. Shout out to Wick 589. Shout out to Wick. No minimum on the super chats for request, but just please understand, guys, it helps me see the chats a lot better, but any super chat does not guarantee that we look at the altcoin. Otherwise, we'd be here literally 24/7, which wouldn't be a bad time. But unfortunately, I do have somewhere to be. But yeah, we'll take a look. Jack wants to see Suey as well. So yeah, we'll take a look at Suey. But let's go ahead and jump on. Actually, you know what? Let's jump into ICP real quick because we have not taken a look at ICP lately. So let's see here. So let's see what we got. All right. So I like to go over kind of how we got to where we are, right? Because I think it's important to learn, right? Because if you want to start doing TI on your own and make some money trading yourself, whether the price goes up or down, you got to understand how these things work, right? So we pulled our fib from this lower high to the lower low, right? At that point, this becomes key resistance. Why is that, right? Well, the reason for that is because if we're looking for a potential lower high, that golden pocket 786 zone is really where you'd be looking at it for. And technically, the value area high is incorporated in that zone as well. So we get back in, right? We eventually, we reclaim value area low POC, back down, back to the POC, back down, back to the POC, get above the POC, into the high, back to the low, back to the high. 2 beautiful rotations of that volume profile. And then on that last rotation, we did hit that golden pocket. So I would say potential of making a lower low here could be possible, especially if the low is not in on Bitcoin, obviously. But just to be aware of the level that you actually rejected, that was a golden pocket, which is an area where lower high can come in at. Doesn't guarantee the lower low, but it is worth noting, right? At this current moment, let me pull some other levels of support that we might have here. Let me pull up some MPOCs. Maybe we have a... Yeah, I mean, not going to lie here, guys, right? We come on down here. This was all the way back in April. We tapped that monthly MPOC in April. That's a huge, huge level of support. Your next monthly MPOC is not coming in, which I don't have marked off on the chart. You have another monthly MPOC down here. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with that. But you do have a monthly MPOC at about 311. Hopefully, it doesn't mean that we have to go down there, but it is down there. It's worth noting. I'm trying to find another more local level down here. Yeah, we did come down to a weekly MPOC here, which is technically what we're holding. So what I will do here is I'll grab a trend line, and I'll just mark out this weekly MPOC, and I'll just label it as tapped weekly MPOC, right? Pook. So, and then let me just see the daily. All right, so, yeah, we did get that nice little tap, and you do have a daily MPOC down here as well, so. This is a daily MPOC, so this is definitely going to be your next major support level down below. So let me get rid of these, pull up a lower time frame. Let's pull our fib here. Let's pull the full from the low to the high. Beautiful, higher low, 786 confluence. So, yeah, I would say biggest level of support, if you lose this value area low more, you cannot reclaim that value area low. I would say this is your next key level of support. If you can't hold this, man, I don't want to say that you have to go down to that monthly MPOC because it's not. Let me see if you have a daily level. You got to have some kind of level down here. Okay, so you have a daily here. Let's mark these out real quick. Let me actually take the weeklies. No weekly, no weekly, no weekly. Okay, so you're going to have to just look for the dailies. You have a daily horizontal right here. You have a no daily horizontal. That's tapped. 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 You got one down there. All right, so you do have some support below. You have those 2 dailies down there before the monthly MPOC. I'd say the next big level is the monthly MPOC, but you have 2 dailies down here. I would say if you lose that 786, technically the next level to look at and again, breaking that 786 would invalidate the local uptrend from continuing, which would call for a break of structure to the downside, targeting that daily at 405. So watch 405 if you lose the 786. If you hold the 786, or maybe you don't even get down there, right? Maybe you just reclaim value area low. Very clear roadmap to higher prices, right? Which would be the value area high in the POC sitting at 522 and 610. So there you go. Whoops. Nice to hold that weekly MPOC, though. Not going to lie. Take a look at the 2-day. Yeah, 2-day money flow still trying to work its way up here. Coming out as of right now, but we'll just see. This might just take some time to develop on the way up. 3-day. Let's check the weekly real quick. Monthly. Yeah, monthly green dot also loading here. And it's not just on, it's not just the monthly green dot printing on Bitcoin. It's not just the monthly green dots potentially incoming somewhat in the near future for altcoins, right? If we take a look at some of this other stuff, I believe the SPY as the monthly green dot printing. We backtested this yesterday. Every monthly green dot was a massive push up. So, yeah, I mean, having this monthly green dot here is not a bad look, especially for the stock market. Let's see, coin, because we just looked at that. Monthly green dot. Let me just check out the Dixie real quick. Yeah, Dixie's a little further. I mean, this thing could break down. This is typically good for crypto. That weekly money flows in the red. You technically have a daily, weekly bullish divergence here, but money flow would likely indicate the overall trend. Eventually, hopefully we can get that DXY to break down and get these things to rally. There's a lot of things across all different markets that kind of line up, to be quite honest. Doesn't mean you can't just get a shocking dump to the downside, but when it comes to TA and probabilities, I would say it doesn't really look that bad, even if we get that bigger pullback on Bitcoin. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Crash that I feel like you're getting more love for your feet than your calves these days. So I'd like to shout out Frankie's absolute hench beast calves. Shout out to Crash. Let's go. It's actually hilarious. I literally get it's kind of funny. It's like sometimes people comment on my calves like in public. They're like, "Dang, bro, what do you do with your what do you do for your calves, man?" I don't think I've ever worked out my calves a day in my life. I think I just am I one of those guys? Does everybody know that guy in high school that I think everyone has that walks like this, like on their tippy toes? Mrs. Candles makes fun of me and says I used to be that kid. That's why my calves are so big. But I fight. I'm definitely not that guy. But anyway, let's continue on here. Let's see. All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to take a look at Sui first, just because we took a look at ADA. We almost take a look at ADA almost every day. So let's take a look at Sui first, and then we'll jump into ADA. Let's see here. Bada boom. This is not our Sui chart. Here it is. Okay, so on Sui, right? We looked at this yesterday. As we came down here, doorway to lower prices, we came down, could not get back out. Where's the next likely place for price to go? Down towards that POC. We technically front ran the POC slightly. Could be due to a few reasons. Maybe we just front ran it, or maybe this profile was pulled in a rush. Yeah, probably just front ran it, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, probably just front ran it there, to be honest. But breakdown below, next place for price to go is very likely towards that point of control. We got the bounce off the point of control, but this is key resistance. If you cannot get up here, right, the biggest level to break above on Sui is going to be this value area high, 282. Once you do that, right, you would expect price, unless you get bearish confirmations for an approach back into the range, right, you would hope that you could break out here and get an approach on your value area low, right, above. This anchored VWAP will likely come down. Once you get above that, I think that's a good sign that you can see a bigger continuation up on Sui towards about 376. Doorway to lower prices, indeed. Doorway to higher prices, and I know doorway is one word pointed out to me by someone in the premium Discord. Absolutely sure, absolutely true. But I'm going to keep doing DWTHP. But doorway to lower prices is here. Doorway to higher prices is here. Just like we got the drop down here through the doorway to lower prices. Once you get accepted in, right? Boom. Once you get up here, get accepted in, hopefully above that anchored VWAP, you can look for the pop to the POC, right? Just like you came towards that POC here. Locally, key support remains the same as yesterday. You have your golden pocket, 786 retracement from the higher low to the higher high, sitting between, I would say, 259 and 250. If you come down, this is where you would hope that you get a higher low to break out here and approach the value area low. If you lose this 786, I would say probably a higher probability to break the low and finally actually test your point of control. You do have the 12-hour red dot incoming, so we can go ahead and fly down towards that 45-minute money flow, which is now crossing over into the red. Not the most beautiful confirmation there, but it is somewhat of a market cipher B116th. But I like to see the 12-hour red dot print at the same time as the 12-hour money flow crossover, or a 12-hour red dot. 16-hour red dot looking to come in. Yeah, daily looking to cool off as well. Nothing really to take away there. You do have your 4-hour red dot, which again, just like on Bitcoin, looking for that continuation down just locally. But 4-hour money flow, not in the green like it is on Bitcoin, right? So if we do continue down, this is definitely the key level, 259 to 250. Lose that 786, probably a little bit of a higher probability that, yeah, I would say, I guess technically you could hold 242, but, you would hope in an aggressive manner to hold this Fibonacci retracement to continue to move up. So key resistance, 282. Key support between 259 and 250. And then underneath that, the POC at 262 is your biggest level. Lose the POC, obviously you're going to look down to come towards the daily MPOC value area low. So there you go. Market cipher B kind of just bing-bonging around here, to be quite frank with you. And then again, same thing. 2-day money flow crossover, eventually crossing over would likely cause the big move to the upside, right? And you can just back test it. Whoops. 2-day money flow crossover. Oh my God, we came down, right? But the overall trend continues up. Money flow indicates the trend, not the ups and downs. It indicates the overall trend. So when you get red dots on a 2-day with money flow coming up, you're anticipating a higher low and a higher high, meaning a continuation of the uptrend. So same thing there, right? Eventually, we're not there yet. Once we get that 2-day money flow crossover, it's not an instant signal, but would indicate that the overall trend will continue. So that's what I'll be looking at on Sui. You're just within your volume profile. Until you break out and get accepted in here, I would look to respect these volume profile levels. So there you go. Shout out to the King of Bitcoin. Said, great TA. Shout out to the King of Bitcoin. Let's go. Hey, King of Bitcoin. If you could smack this thing back to the upside, we would love it. Shout out to the King of Bitcoin. Let's see. Shout out to Curtis Hill. Said, man, y'all better be listening. This is Alpha. Shout out to Curtis. Let's go. Thank you for doing Suey. No problemo. School the Fade. Let's go. Shout out to Wix My Fat 89 said, Darren, don't cry. We'll get through this. 5 bowls of boiling oil. Shout out to Tyler Durden. Is that like a tongue twister? 5 bowls of boiling oil, 5 bowls of boiling oil, 5 bowls of boiling oil, 5 bowls. Okay, you got me. You got me, Tyler. You got me. All right, let's see here. Week 589 said, get the audiobook, Signs of Autism, an autobiography read by John Malkovich. Okay. Shout out to Wick 589. Anyway, let's continue on here. All right, let's take a quick look at Cardano. That is still technically on the list. Bada boom. All right, let's take a look at ADA. Oh, my God. All right, well, losing the daily MPOC 786, that's not really the best thing. 12-hour red dot incoming, 45-minute money flow crossing over into the red. I would say just based off those signs that a continuation down here could be likely, at least from a local standpoint, right? You lose that 786, you can't get back above it. Daily MPOC is still there. I'm going to hide these right now because they're technically already tapped. And I'm going to pull up the next levels I would look at, which would be higher low to the higher high. See that full retracement. Let me see if we have any daily MPOCs on this thing. Okay, nice. You have a daily MPOC sitting right here. Boom. Let's check the weekly. Nothing on the weekly. You do have a weekly MPOC sitting right on that value area low, though, so I will mark that out. Get rid of the MPOCs, come back down to a lower time frame. So, yeah, I would say your next real level of support, if this continues down, is definitely going to be sitting right here. Daily MPOC, golden pocket retracement, sitting between about 54.74 and 53.90. Underneath that, you have your 786 at 52.89. And this would just be generally the next level, right? If we pull this to... Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to look at the full retracement because even this, the 786 and the golden pocket, you know, this whole area, right? Maybe I'll even just drag this up. Now I'll just leave it here, right? I would say your biggest levels to remain above on the way down. If you want to continue this local uptrend, right, you're hoping to bounce here. I don't even really want to come mess around with that 786, to be honest. I would just like to hold that. Once you start losing this zone, right, lower low is more likely, which would probably bring you into, let's see here. Probably gonna have to pull up some. Okay, this is actually, get rid of these brushes real quick. Yeah, look at the tap of that value area low. This is why I always keep in mind the previous value areas. Right? Once you break down below this high, you're probably going to the POC, lose the POC, probably going down to the value area low. So I would even say, like, yeah, like from this perspective, right, it would actually not be that bad of an idea if you do push in here, right, and then just continue to move up to the POC and then push into the high. But I would say, and then that makes your key level the value area low here. Which, again, I mean, I don't want to say, like, all the same thing in different ways, but, like, you lose that 786, obviously the value area low is next, which would mean you're taking that low, probably. So I would say, yeah, you definitely want to hold this zone, right? This would keep you inside the value area. So from a simple standpoint, I would say, obviously, the golden pocket daily MPOC is key. But really, at the end of the day, as long as you can remain inside this profile, right, you could keep the doorway open to the POC, flip the POC, come into the high. That's just what I would look for. Lose the value area low. That's where we could pull up some more levels of support. You'd have the daily MPOC around 43 cents. Which is also, yeah, which is also the 786 of this entire move to the upside. So these would be definitely huge key levels. I'm not saying you have to come down here, but these are just very, very clear to me. I would say if you lose the mini range value area low, this is probably your next big level of support between about, sitting at about 43.5 cents, right? It's the 786 of this entire move up. The golden pocket sits right here, right? If you already tapped the golden pocket once, you tapped it twice, you tapped it thrice. More times you tap on a level, the more likely it is to break, right? So if you do lose that, you're probably going to go, once you lose the golden pocket, you're looking down to the 786. So that'd be the next level I would look at. The only problem with that is if you do wind up getting accepted back into this major range, it's like, well, hey, you go to the daily MPLC 786. If you don't bounce there, yikes, you're within this now larger profile, looking to go down potentially to the POC. If you can't hold the 786, lose the POC, you could go down to the value area low. Right? It's an if this, then that. You might not even have to play with this level. I would say coming down to this would be a difficult situation, right? Because sure, you could bounce off the 786, but you have the macro value area high just above you. And yeah, I mean, maybe you bounce off the, maybe you wick into the POC, reclaim 786, and then send it. This is definitely a huge level. It's just going to be a difficult situation if you get down there because at that point, you're inside your range, and that POC becomes more and more likely the longer you spend in here. So yeah, but for now, you could just look at your mini range, right? Right now, you're within this range. These are the levels I would expect to get respected. Expect to get respected. So yeah, stay above that value area low. POC is open. Value area high is open if you flip the POC. Lose that, yikes. Probably coming down here, in my opinion. And you do have the 16-hour red dot, the 12-hour red dot looking to print, the daily VWAP rolling over as well. So, we'll see what happens. We'll analyze price. I'll actually put an alert on this in case we do start breaking down. Bada boom. All right. So there we go. Bada boom, bada bing. Oh, good Lord. Oh, God. Anyway, let's see. It's just going to range up and down and be day trading material. Shout out to Whoa. We wouldn't mind that either. We would not mind that either. Yo, shout out to Poe said, go call it a day, brother. I'm sure Mrs. Candles is waiting. Great stream, like every time. Shout out to Pose. I appreciate you so much. But yes, Frankie, what happens when there is no more BTC to mine and miners stop validating? I guess we'll have to find out, right? I could try to make my best predictions, but at the end of the day, it's like the amount of times I've tried to make predictions, like if something happens, by the time something like that does happen, it's like, like even back in the previous bear market that we not just had, but the bear market of 2022, right? What am I, when we're sitting down there, right? It's like, even up here, right? Like, I think it was still a little bit harder to convince people that crypto's not a scam up in this cycle, especially in 2017. But in 2021, this is like very hard to convince people that this is like a legit asset class, right? Like people still think, oh, crypto, like everyone gets scammed in crypto. This is all bull, whatever. And then, at the time, it's like, well, what happens if, like, exchanges start going down and, like, things start collapsing and, like, big projects start getting huge dumps? And it's like, I think to myself, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe it does wind up just going to zero, right? And then down here we had, you had the FTX collapse. You had, like, all this horrible stuff. And it's like, what happens? You just put in the higher low and you continue off into a new bull run. So, what happens? I don't know. I'm not an expert on mining. I'm an expert on the charts. I'm an expert at trading. I would never try to pretend I'm an expert on mining. I don't really know what would happen. At the end of the day, the way I see it is supply and demand, right? Like once all the Bitcoin is in circulation, all I would think, and what I know from markets and just in general of like how value works, once it's all out there and there's no more being created, that does one thing. And I'll just say that one thing involves moon suits, right? Spacesuits, rocket ships, Lambos, and tons of money. So there you go. Like imagine if, and that's assuming, right, that it's like, the thing actually has a hard set supply, right? Like it's like diamonds are like the biggest scam in history, right? It's like they have like false scarcity. They don't hold value unless you have like a rare natural earth mine pink diamond, right? Other than that, diamonds don't really hold any value for the most part, right? So it's like, and why is that? It's because like there's no real hard. It's like it's artificially controlled supply, right? I don't think they're not as scarce as people or De Beers would like you to think they are, right? But with Bitcoin, where it's a hard limit, it's actual hard money. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, right? So once they're all out there, it's like that's what I would think. So yeah. You forgot Solana. Shout out to Amir. We'll take a quick look at Solana here. Yeah, I was probably going to 0, to be honest. I'm just kidding. I do not think Solana's going to 0. That was a joke. Actually, hilariously enough, guys, I didn't think Solana was going to 0 when we were down at $8. Where's Solana? All right, I did not even think Solana was going to 0 down here. Actually have a video on my channel that lives here saying, like, I know it went to almost 0, guys. Like, it looked like it was going to 0. And just I explained in that video why I didn't think it was going to 0, and here we are, right? And actually caught a pretty nice bag down here. My average entry price for my spot Solana is around, I think, like $30. So, like, and I even caught some pre-leveraged 3x long tokens down here at the low, right? Just completely degenning in. And those wound up paying me out big time. But when we take a look here, right, I mean, we're just right on track to what we were talking about over the past week or so, right? We got above the high. Right? It takes time to play out. I know this bounce thinks like it makes you question like what the heck. That guy Frankie Candles was saying that once you get back into the value area, POC is next, and then once you lose the POC, you go to the low. Why are we pumping back up? Well, it's like, hey, I mean, not that you can't just send it out of there, right? Can you bounce off the POC? Absolutely, right? But the higher probability situation is TV at above the high, overvalued asset. This is where you look for shorts in anticipation of getting back into the range. Highest probability move is to the POC. As long as you stay within that range, the POC is open as a target, and then lose the POC, the bigger level was sitting down here towards the golden pocket with all of this confluent support down below. I even said, guys, I know it's crazy to think that, Solana after getting this bounce is going to come back down here or even up here talking about this level, because when you look at this golden pocket is pulled from the low all the way to this high. So as soon as we put in that high, we were looking at this level as a potential retracement zone. And I know it sounds crazy as Solana gets a massive move up. Everyone is super bullish, but the rotation of the volume profiles, more often than not, will trump any kind of any kind of feeling that you have, right, or bullish sentiment that you have. But there we are. We push into the golden pocket value area low. Nice little bounce. We're now looking to flip that POC. It actually does not look that bad. The POC is the strongest magnet within the profile, as a lot of you guys know. So you can kind of play around with these levels a little bit, right? Even you come up, play around with it, try to get it back above, get back down below. So I wouldn't be surprised if you play around with this POC a little bit, get above it, down below it, back below it, back above it, back below it, but once you hold above that point of control, maybe we do just hold it. This is the key level to hold. Hold above that point of control, $143. Doorway to the value area high is open. Why not lose the POC and go to the low? Could that happen? Yes. But because we have already taken out the value area low, the anticipation is to go from the low to the POC. Once you eventually flip that POC, you look for that full rotation. If we were approaching from the high, right, we would be looking at this as, well, hey, even if we get turbulence on the POC, eventually you're expecting to lose it and go to the low because you approached from the high. When you approach from the low, meaning dip down below and come back in, the full rotation expectation is to the high. So key levels of support here. Let me take off this daily because that is now invalidated. You do have a new daily. Whoops, let me actually just do this. New daily right here. So I would say your next key levels of local support, I'll just give you some local levels. Within the profile, right, you're just looking to reclaim POC, shoot up to the high, where you do have a 786 confluence on your value area high. So this would be macro resistance. Golden pocket sits at about 158. That'd be a level to pay attention to as well. But overall, within the profile, you look to go to the low, POC, value area high. Oh, and again, you could chop around here a little bit. But locally, if you do get below the POC, what are some levels we would like to hold? Well, I would just come on down to a lower time frame, and I would do the same thing we did on all the other alts. Pull the full fib retracement from the low to the high. You have the, let me pull it from the higher low. Okay, so I would say, I don't even know if I'm going to mark this out, right? At the end of the day, you could cool off potentially into, right? I'm gonna take this, I'm going to hide this support zone because we've already bounced off of it. I would say locally, biggest level you would want to hold is this daily 786 zone, right? Because once you lose that, you're probably coming down to the value area low and potentially even coming down below that. Where you do still have some pretty decent support. This daily is tapped. You have a daily MPOC and a monthly level, right? This is another level to pay attention to. But as long as you remain within this volume profile, guys, I'm not going to lie, right? I wouldn't really be looking down here, right? Maybe you come down, tap into the fib retracement level, get back above the POC, and then go to the high. Or maybe, potentially, you just play around here and then reclaim, go to the high. But yeah, I would kind of be paying attention more to the long term here on Solana, to be quite honest. So there you go. Golden pocket sitting at 134.29. 786 ends at about 130.53. You do not want to lose that level. Lose that. Value area low is technically your last level you want to hold, but I just don't like the idea of losing that 786, right? Because it makes it more likely to take out that low, which would not be that bad, right? Because you could push into the monthly and daily MPOC. Monthly is a big level. It might just be another deviation below the low before reclaiming and coming back up. If you lose that, I mean, probably going down much lower. But yeah, I would say as long as you're within your macro range, right? We use this as our guide. Flip the low, POC, value area high. Flip the value area low, POC, value area low. Flip the value area low, POC, value area high would be the overall expectation with expected noise in between. So there you go. Let's see. Anyway, let's continue on. I still believe in my altcoin. Shout out to Crypto Independent. Me too. I still believe in altcoins as well. 2-hour stream at least. Yeah, shout out to Servado Estrada. Guys, wrapping up there with Solana. I do have to get out of here. I said it was going to be a short stream. We're basically just ending 10 minutes early. But I appreciate everybody being here. Again, Bitcoin. Can we get the rejection from our local range here? Yes, I do think with that 4-hour red dot. Watch for that 15-minute money flow crossover into the red. If that 15-minute money flow crosses over, might be able to get a little bit of a pullback. But if you want the full thoughts on Bitcoin here as we tap into resistance, what I'm expecting long-term, medium-term, and short-term, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. We give you guys all the sauce. But with all that being said, shout out to Mark Dutch said, Frankie, I can't hold it any longer. Legs crossed and biting my lips for over 30 minutes now. Shout out to Mark Dutch. That's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Steve says, not ready to call a cycle failure yet. Yeah, shout out to Steve. I agree. But thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys from the bottom of my heart. Sorry we had to end 10 minutes early, but I do have somewhere to be. Mrs. Candle, I want to get hit with the belt again from Mrs. Candles, guys. Send help. But with all that being said, guys, I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and hopefully we can continue to see these targets hit like we did tonight. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
And shout out to Tony D, guys. I forgot to mention this. Shout out to anybody who stuck around a little late here. You got a head start on the rest of them. But we do have a deposit bonus deal going on with Blowfin. 15% trading bonus cashback in the form of bonus funds, which are basically just like free money to trade with. You can't just withdraw it, but you can make money with that free money and then keep the profit. But it's only for the first 50 people. It is going until July 2nd. So actually not that long to do this. So if you guys want to check this out, click the link in the description down below. And yeah, get on Blowfin and get some of that free money. But with all that being said, that's all the time I got for tonight's live stream. Thank you guys for being here. Smash that like button on your way out. I appreciate every single one of you guys. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go.
Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor.